What's the A-plus move with Kenny Golladay? Sign him, tag and trade him, or let him walk. Gator, what do you suppose is leading right now?
Tag and trade.
That has 51.3% of the vote. Next is straight franchise tag him, 1 year, $16.4 million. That has 20.4% of the vote. Let him walk has 18.5% of the vote. And straight up sign him, 10.7% of the vote. A lot of tweets coming in on this, so we will get to in a moment. Thank you for all of your responses. Gator, what is your response? What do you think is the A-plus move?
Well, I kind of eliminate things. I think signing him to a long-term deal doesn't make much sense because it's going to cost you too much money, and he's not a young player anymore, by the way. He's getting towards his late 20s, and by the time that he's going to be paying off when this team's ready to compete for a playoff spot, you're right around 30. So I wouldn't sign him to a long-term deal, which also means I wouldn't give him the franchise tag because it really makes no sense to me unless you trade. Tender and trade makes sense, and letting him walk makes sense. But it sounds like based on the comp, which was the Jarvis Landry deal, which was a 4th and a 7th round pick, that's not really a whole lot to get excited about. The compensatory pick, when he signs with somebody else, that you wouldn't get this year, but you'd get for next year's 2022 draft, that could be a better pick because if you're banking on Kenny Golladay to be productive for somebody else, then you're talking a 3rd round pick. I'd probably go that route, but maybe I'd explore you got to at least kick the tires and see if any team out there is willing to give you something better. And if there's a team out there that's going to give you a 3rd and a 5th or a 3rd and a 7th, take it. Do the sign and trade.
Yep, I'm thinking the A-plus move is if they get a 3rd back in this draft, and add another 3rd round pick for Kenny Golladay. I think that's the best. Look, the Athletic said maybe they can squeeze a 2nd out of it. I don't know how they do that.
Well,
but you never know. I mean, if the Ravens think a receiver puts them over the top, then great.
Yeah, I would also say this: I don't think there's an A-plus way out of this. I mean, because I don't see any team way overpaying for Kenny Golladay. That's the only way it gets to be an A-plus. I think you're stuck with a situation here. You try to make the most out of it, but the most of it is probably like a B-, and that'd be a 3rd round pick. Nothing too great. It's good. It's not great. It's like I said, B-. But if you get something, if you were to somehow finagle it into a 2nd round pick, then we're talking high B range, and I just don't think that it's in the cards to get an A out of it.
Kang, what about you? What do you think the A-plus move is?
Well, the A-plus is to get a tag and trade, but the trade value is better than a 4th and 7th. But if we're just going with what the options you're giving me, I think you do the tag and trade. I actually don't mind the sign him deal you have at 16, 18 per. I think that's about right. But I think he's going to want north of 19 million. So I don't think that's going to be on the table. So I think the best, and by the way, if you do sign him to a 3, 4, or 5 year contract, you're in full rebuild mode right now. So it doesn't really help you. He's going to be north of 30 by the time that contract ends. By the time maybe you're ready to really, really compete. So he's not going to help you. So I don't want to sign him long term, even though I like the money if you have to sign him long term. Tag and trade. A 4th and 7th doesn't seem like it a lot because it isn't a lot. But he's been injured the last couple of years, right? Especially this past season. So if you want him to play and get some kind of pick in return, a comp pick, you're taking a chance there. He even stays healthy the entire year. I think the best deal is to tag and trade. If it's a 4th and 7th, that's fine, but you got to get something. I don't think you can just let him walk out the door with nothing. To get nothing in return.
Yeah, I mean, what they get in return is that compensatory pick, and it would take a minute. You don't get that right away. So getting some draft capital now, it would be certainly better.